Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Rina Nir. First of all, a quick check. I am counting on you seeing both me and my screen. If you don't see one of these two, let me know. It could be, I just want to confirm because it happened to me that I thought that I'm sharing the screen and it was not shared. So if there is any glitch, let's identify it immediately. So what I'm going to walk you through today is the basic training for snapshots. My name is Rina Nir. I'm the co-founder of Radbee, the company who brings Snapshot or who develops snapshots, and I'm also serving as the product manager. So I hope that by the end of this training, you will know how to you will know what a snapshot is, and you will know how to create pages with snapshots of all different types, so that you can actually use them in your daily life. And yes, thank you for someone who confirmed that you can see the screen. So that's perfect. Thank you so much. And I also, if you wanted to leave a message of where you are, just that you will, we will know from where people are joining us. I'm talking with you from the United Kingdom. Before I dive in, I have a small request, and I hope it's not too bad of me to start by this request. If you are using snapshots and enjoying it, please consider leaving a review for us on the Atlassian Marketplace. You just need to navigate to the Atlassian Marketplace and leave a review. We just had a person also leave a review today. That was really nice. And reviews just really help promote the app on the Marketplace. So thanks for considering it, especially if you will be joining the training. So what are we going to cover today? I'll introduce what snapshots are. So some key characteristics that make snapshots what they are and make them a good fit for some specific use cases, and hopefully some of the use cases you want to use snapshots for. I will take you through the basics of creating pages that have snapshots on them, and also showing you some of the more advanced configurations. So how you can tweak the snapshot so it really presents exactly the data that you need in the way that you need it. And we'll also see several ways of how to export snapshots into PDF, into Excel, etc. The training itself is planned to be around 45 minutes, and it's going to be live. So besides that, it's not going to be slides, it's going to be actual Confluence, and we'll be working with live data. And if you are here now, then I'm here now as well. So feel free to ask questions. I have a second screen where I see the feed of questions coming from yourself. And from time to time, I will be looking at it. And if there is something that comes up, I will try to answer as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's navigate into Confluence, because we want to get into the crux of it. So here is, now you should be seeing a Confluence page, which I don't think you are. So let me just stop and reshare. Okay, so that's better. Now I shared the whole screen, and you should be seeing all the different tabs I will be navigating. So this is Confluence with a table that is a snapshot table. That's our table, and it shows a list of epics that were taken from Jira. And let's quickly take you through the basics of Snapshot. So what makes Snapshot a snapshot is the fact that the data is not live. So the data in this particular example was taken earlier today when I was preparing this session. If I go to Jira, and I will now change something here. So I will maybe change the summary of that particular issue. The data is modified in Jira, but anybody who reviews the page, and I refresh the page just to really stress that point, still sees the data as it was before. So if you wanted to create from Jira release documentation, status reports, and documents that you really don't want them to reflect the Jira data, but actually Jira data at a certain point of time, Snapshots is the tool that allows you to do that. It also has the button Take Snapshots that allows you to refresh the data. So if I will go now and just take a new snapshot based on the same criteria that the previous version was created, there's now a new version of the Confluence page. So each time that I trigger a new snapshot, a new version of the Confluence page is created. We can check it out here. If we go at version history, this is the version that I just created, and it has this comment, updated snapshot, which is the comment that Snapshots automatically puts on the page. If I will go into historical versions of that page and view them, I will see old versions of Snapshots. So all the versions that you ever took of a certain snapshot do exist in Confluence and can present themselves if you look at the page history. Another way that the data presents itself, so I will just go back to this. If you see, the timestamp is of the one that I just taken, and I have the new summary here, and I want to compare between this version of the snapshot and the previous one. I just need to press the compare button, and this is the only difference. And I could go back into the history and compare with older versions. So let us compare with this version. Here there was another more differences. So these descriptions were added, and this status was modified. And this is a powerful way to actually review what changed in Jira. If you have few snapshots of the same data, you can easily, through this compare option, see what modifications had occurred in Jira. So we said that Snapshots is a table on a Confluence page. The page can have as many snapshots as you want. So you could organize a page that is having 3 or 4 or 5 different snapshots. It's just a different set of a different macro that you will be putting on the page. So you will put as many macros as you need, as many snapshot macros as you need. Let us look 1 second how the page looks like when I edit the page. So this particular page just have a little bit of text on the top, and then there is this macro, and this is the snapshot macro. Each time that you wanted to add snapshots to the page, you just need to add this snapshots, and we will actually do something like that right now. We will create a new page that looks exactly or very similar to this page. If I wanted to create it from scratch, I would open the create page. I will give it a title because every Confluence page needs to have a title. I can add whatever other elements I want, but here in this training, we are really focused on snapshots. So to add a snapshot to the page, I can go through here and find snapshots, or I can use a shortcut that is available, just backslash and press SN, and you will see snapshots. There are two macros available. The snapshots test report is something that we are not going to cover today in our one-on-one training. This we will leave for a more advanced training that will focus entirely on Xray data. So let's start with this. And this is actually a relatively new look of how the macro looks like. We just added templates recently. And the nice thing about it is that now I don't need necessarily to start a new macro from scratch. I can rely on a template that I have created. And I have, for example, created for this training a template that is called Epic's single level. And I will just choose this. Once I choose it, it gives me an initial set that defines this, macro, an initial set which I can change. So let's see what actually consists of the initial set of a snapshot macro. You have the title, which will be the title of this group of data inside the snapshot. The JQL. So the JQL is the heart of Snapshot. It defines which data will be brought. So if anybody is not familiar with JQL, I will quickly take you to Jira to show you that JQL is the way to look for items inside Jira. So this is a Jira screen. This is where you can put the same JQL that I have in Snapshots. And this clause says that I want all the issues that are in this project, eBank, and which have the type Epic. If I search for them, I find exactly those 7 issues. Back to my snapshots, I can check if my JQL brings the data that I thought it will bring. So I will just do a preview, and indeed, it finds exactly the 7 same issues. And that's pretty important to understand, that the JQL here is the same JQL that you can put in Jira. And if you have a Jira that has an app or an extension that knows more JQL keyword, this could happen. This will be also available here in Snapshots. So the JQL in Snapshots is one-to-one the same JQL as you have in your Jira. Then the third element is to decide what fields I want to actually bring into the snapshot table. Here we have brought the key, summary, status, and description. These are all standard fields, but I could add in any non-standard or standard field that exists in your instance. For example, category. This is totally a custom field. It is available in your Jira, hence it is available in Snapshots, and you can just add it to Snapshots, and also organize the fields by just drag, drop, and setting up where this field appears in the snapshot table. And that's basically all there is to generating the first basic snapshot. Let me just publish the page. As soon as you publish the page, you have a page with snapshot, but not with data. So snapshot triggers immediately, and I will ask it to indeed take the snapshot. I could stop it, which can be valuable if you have a very large snapshot and you don't want to take it immediately now or whatever. So you can have a page that has a macro without data, but in most cases, once people define the data, they want to see it also. So I see that this one is too narrow for the space I gave it on the page. I will just allow it to go full width. and update the page. So this is our very first basic snapshot macro. And let us play with it a little bit. Let's assume that I actually want to remember this particular version. Why? Because I discussed this particular version with my manager. And if I'm going to take new snapshots in the future, I want to be able to come back to this version and know that this is the version that I was discussing. So I can add a sticker here and say, discussed in meeting with Joe. Okay, and now even if I take a new snapshot, the new snapshot will not have this label, but when I compare it in the history, I will always see that that version of snapshot had this particular sticker. So you see, once I refresh the snapshot, this one does not have a sticker, but if I compare, I can see that sticker in the history when I refer to the old version. I will now add a layer, because one of the powers of snapshots is the fact that we can have hierarchy. Because we all know that epics are great, but we like also, one second. Okay, I noticed that someone has asked the question. Someone asked, is it possible to set the width for columns in Snapshot? Thank you for the question. The simple answer, you cannot directly set the width, but you have some powers to help you define the width in a way that is more friendly, and I will show it. Listen on, and I will show some flexibilities and powers that you may have around defining the width of the column. Thank you for the question. One second, I'll just note here in a way that will help me remember that I need to specifically cover that as well when I get to it, and it will be in a few moments. So one of the powers of Snapshot is the fact that I can retrieve data that is hierarchical, because we all know that epics have issues, and often it's interesting to show the epics and their child issues. So let's go on and do that now. And I will add a level. So the way to look at the hierarchy in snapshots is that you can add new levels. In this case, I'm adding a second level, and the easiest way, one of the easiest way to connect a second level to the first level is through the parent relationship in Jira. And I will actually use this and just drop parent in $key here. Now, I want to say $key for itself is not a JQL thing. So if I would take this clause as it is, exactly, and put it here in Jira, Jira would not know what to do with it. It will tell me that it's wrong. You see this red thing. Because $key is a construct that we introduced to link the child level to the parent level. And you can use it either in this way, parent in key, or also by link going on links. So you can refer to the first level as linked issues or as parent. And you can, in principle, refer to any field in the level 1, but most people, in most cases, are using the $key reference. And for a starter beginning class, I think it's good enough if you remember that we can link between levels by referring to $key in the child level. We will look at parent key now for the second level and add, for example, the assignee and the status. second. Never mind, I'll just insert it here and take a snapshot. It immediately recognizes that it needs to take new data, and it asks me if I want to do that. I let it go ahead and do that. Now we have the same 7 epics as before because I didn't increase the number of epics, but I have 28 stories or issues that are inside each epics. And the way that it appears is like this. And I will just to convince you that it shows all the kids. If I go to this one, indeed it has 2 children. And these are the 2 children that I see here. Now I will do one more thing. An assignee is also pulled over. I want to bring also the description, and you will see in a second why. Just because I want to overload the table to make it wider, not wider, to make too many, to make the different columns squeeze each other. And I'm trying to do it by doing this and also narrowing a little bit the width of the table. This will just bring me a good opportunity to answer the question about the width of the column. Okay, so now indeed I have a table, and I want it has all the data, but it looks a little bit squeezed. I have a scroll here to show me the columns across all the different columns, but first of all, it's very unnecessarily long, and I will now show you a few ways on how to improve the layout of this one. First of all, I really feel an urge that I want to do it here. First, I will go full width. And the second thing that I will do, I will, in the second level, I will add a title because I did not have a title until now, and I just now realize it. The table also spans quite a lot of the page. I want to make the table a little bit more narrow on the page so that I will not have to scroll through the whole page until I get to what is after the snapshot table. And the way to do that is to use snapshot scrolling. I will show you in a second what this is. So this is the first iteration of improving the layout. First of all, I will go wide. I did scroll a layout and I added a title to the second level. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, so I have a title to second level. The columns are a little bit more spacious now because I opened up the full width of my Confluence page. And the snapshot scrolling means that I quickly can get to what exists on the Confluence page after snapshot. And if I wanted to look carefully into all the snapshot data, I would just scroll within the window of snapshot. So this is, again, something that improves how you view and experience snapshots on the page. It can be set as a default for the whole site, but this is more an admin responsibility. They can set it up across the site. But if you don't have this set up across your site, you can individually on specific pages change that. Now, one thing that I really don't like about the way that the column widths work here is the fact that my key is broken up. And that is a complaint that I often hear. People don't like that the key column is broken. Sometimes they want their summary a column not to be broken across rows. So there is a way to achieve that. And this is the main way to really directly control the width of columns in Confluence. You can navigate to the column, and this is the key column that I really don't want to wrap. Once you hover over the name of the field here, you see that you have few options to control how it looks like. Let us use the don't wrap field. Once I press it and select it for the key, it immediately impacts all the key columns across all the levels. So if I have the same the same field appearing in several levels, it will impact all the levels. Now let's see how the snapshot actually will look like. So the key is forced to be in a single row. To your question about width of columns, this is currently the only way where you can directly force a certain column width to behave in a certain way. You can force any column in Confluence not to wrap. Yes, now be careful if you do that for descriptions, that would be really not impacting nicely your table. But if you do that for keys, that will work very nicely. Then I'm going back to the questions you put. Should parent be added in second level? Okay, I will. And also someone asks about how you add third level and show scrolling. Okay, let me do it one at a time. Should parent be added in second level? Parent should not be added in second level. So if you go, I will just explain a little bit how this JQL works, because it is a combination of a Jira native capability and the snapshot capability. The JQL we have put here is parent in, and the $key is a variable that is replaced for each row with a parent with a key that exists in the first level. So our first level here shows, for example, eBank 89 in the very first row. And if I go here in Jira and I build this legitimate JQL. So this is a valid JQL in Jira, and if I search, this is a JQL function that finds all the kids who have eBank 89 as their parent. And what we do here to build the second level is we use this pattern of JQL, but each row we replace the key with the correct key that comes from the first level. So if we look back on this, to find all the children of eBank 89, we ran parent in eBank 89. And then we did the same for eBank 65 and eBank 64. So the second level is built iteratively using this JQL function. So that, I hope, answers the question about if parent needs to be added in the second level. No, it needs not to be directly added as a separate field in the second level. And you can add a third level exactly in the same way. So if we build a third level, we could, for example, build a third level that is linked to the second level. I will show an example of that. So bear with me a second, and I will show a concrete example of snapshots that have 3 levels. In general, as principle, you can have as many levels as you want, as many levels as you actually need. We actually have out there in production, someone has created a snapshot with 8 levels. So it becomes very wide. It's not very comfortable, but you can do that. Snapshot does not limit you. Thank you. Moving on, and we will look in a bit on a 3-level snapshot. So we talked about the page history and other things that you could do with snapshots. One question you may have is, where is the snapshot data? So all this data is not stored here, is not stored in our servers. It is stored directly in Confluence. So any page that has snapshot data, you can check out the information of the page, go to the attachments, and you will find this type of file that is attached to the page. It's a JSON file that has your Jira data. So the snapshot data is captured into a JSON file that is stored in your Confluence, and that is basically what Snapshot presents on the page. So that's a bit technical, but I know that a lot of people are curious to know where the data is. So that's your answer. Okay, let's move on and now find other ways of creating snapshot pages. And there are few ways. One of the nicest way, or the one that I personally really like, I like to have it created from Jira directly. So one of the things that, one second, I opened it, but on another tab, on another screen. Second. Okay. I have here, this is a Jira screen, and in Jira, I defined a filter that I use frequently, and I want now to create a snapshot that has exactly this data. And the way to do that, you could go into apps here. You may have different options depending on what is installed on your Jira instance, but you also will have a Take Jira Snapshot option. If you press that, then there is immediately an automation that creates a page with snapshot. I just need to select the space where I want this to happen. So let's go and do that in the training example space. The page name is set automatically. I can change it later. And the JQL as well as the columns are taken from what I chose in my filter in Jira. And once I press that, what happens is there is a page created inside Confluence that has the title and has the data. Okay, so if you ever wanted to just create a snapshot from a certain filter in Confluence, in Jira, you can do that directly from Jira. It will open it up in Confluence. Okay, moving on, and now creating a page from one of the built-in templates. The built-in templates are templates that are provided with snapshots. So you will have them. A small comment, this particular template requires also the connectivity with Xray. I'll mention it. Okay, so let's training page 2, opening a new page, and again, like we have seen before, adding a snapshot macro. I will navigate into the tab here that says provided by snapshots. When I open it here, there are a few snapshots that we have seen are popular setups. And we now package them inside snapshots, and people can readily use them. The one that I wanted to share with you today is this one that actually has 3 levels and will allow you to see that how our 3-level snapshot could be built. I will select it. And with our built-in snapshots, they are set up with placeholders. So this one has a placeholder of the project, and the JQL here, if you will look at it, is a JQL that looks for issues inside a certain project. And of course, you may not be interested in XSP necessarily. You may be interested in another project, so you can easily just change it and use another project from the project that exists in your instance. The issue types, I wanted to have all these issue types. I could change it again by setting up the variable here. And the fixed version can be any version that is available in the project that you selected. So as soon as I have set up the variables or the placeholders for this template, I can see here immediately the JQL that will be used, and I will use it. This immediately initiates the snapshot with the data that came from the snapshot template. And this template has 3 levels. The level 1 is just a simple JQL, project, eBank, all these types of issues will come along as long as their fixed version includes version 1. Okay, the second level, the way I defined it is that issue is linked to the previous level by this type of link type. And this is again a JQL syntax. And I want to ensure that whatever is brought is only tests. So I added this close to the JQL. And the third one here, it could be a regular Jira issues level, but in this example, it is a test runs level. So I know maybe not everyone here has the Xray extension. At least from my impression, when I was looking at the registration list, most, if not all of the people who were registered do actually have the Xray integration with the Snapshot. And hence, I feel comfortable to show an example that involves Xray data because I know that you are going to use it. Xray data is brought by snapshots, and the level that brings it in the most granular way is the level that is called test runs. So you could have, for example, in level 2 tests from Xray, and then the test runs themselves require a specific level that is called test runs. And it has a bunch of filters that allows you to define exactly the test runs that you need. If we don't select, we just bring in all the test runs. Let's see what happens. I will go full width because this one is going to have 3 levels. It means that the number of columns is going to be pretty wide. I will publish it. And it immediately takes a snapshot. Okay, this one is relatively small. It has only 3 issues on the top level. Then it brings me all the linked tests. And for each linked test, I have test runs, and I only brought 2 fields. Let me just quickly add a few fields from the test runs here, or just to save time, I will show you a traceability that includes more than these 2 fields. So in this example, we have the test execution, the status, the test environment, the fixed version, the defect, the started on, and the executed by. So all these fields and more fields even are available from the test runs. And in this example, we also have 4 levels. We have 3 levels that are natively in Jira, and then the 4th one is a test run level. Let me just move to edit so that the person who asked how to do 3 levels will see how we can build 3 levels that are purely Jira levels and then add a test run level. So in this example, the first level is just a simple JQL. So looking for all the user requirements of a specific project. Then the second level is built by taking all the issues that trace down from that user requirement. The third level is taking all the issues that are linked by tests. And the last level are the test runs. Let me go back into the Jira data and show you quickly how it is. So if we look at GAL7, I will open it in Jira. GAL7 is a user requirement, which is a custom issue type in my instance. It traces down into 3 function specifications. If I go into one of those function specifications, it is tested by these 4 tests. And then these tests have their test executions. And all of them are brought here into Snapshot. Okay, we are heading almost to the end, but there are a few things that I really wanted to show you about exports. So let me quickly show you that. Every snapshot can be exported from Confluence in several ways. First, the page itself can be exported, and you can export it with the default exporters. But to be honest, many people who use Snapshot anyway are using also Scroll PDF Exporter. And that's why there is a lot of emphasis also in how we deliver Snapshot to optimize it in a way that allows Scroll PDF Exporter also to do a good job. The advantage of Scroll PDF Exporter is that you have more power to make sure that the whole width of the snapshot table, which could be pretty wide, goes into the page without problem. So I will just show an example of how this will look like. In this case, I will take a template. So that's an export template that we defined here on this instance to demonstrate how you could did I cancel it? Sorry, I will trigger it again. Export. Okay, now I allow it to export. Once it exports, you actually can see, we'll open it up. First of all, you could make it export as a landscape from the very start. And you could also, inside the exporter, fine-tune the width of the different columns and the fonts so that the table, although it's pretty large, looks very reasonable or relatively reasonable in the export. So highly recommend, if you need to export pages with a lot of snapshot information, try to do that with Scroll PDF Exporter. If you do that with a Confluence default exporter, the chances are that the table will be truncated. And that's just the limitation of the default exporter. Another thing that you could do, you could export to Excel directly from here. So every snapshot table has these 3 dots on the right. If you export to Excel, it will download to your computer an Excel file that is basically the snapshot. You could also copy it to a clipboard, and people, I heard, are using it to send emails with snapshot data. So if you copy it to clipboard and you paste it on an email, it will just paste and you can send it over. Yes, there are some people who are still using email or any other purposes where you can actually just want to just paste the snapshot data. So these are grossly the ways to export the data, either print out the page itself or export it through those three dots here. Okay, I think we are out of time and we covered a lot of ground. Not everything that I wanted to cover, but I want to assure you that we have more advanced training coming. So first of all, you will be receiving the recording of this training. And alongside with the recording of this training, I will send you also links to more advanced training. We do have them live from time to time, but if you feel that you want to go ahead and take the other training even before we have them live, since they all already happened in the last few weeks, you can go on YouTube and watch them from the recording. Also, I encourage you, sorry, up. I will present. If you have specific question that I did not answer, or you have an idea for a feature that you would want us to implement, or if you want to jump on a call one-on-one with me so that I can take you through some details, don't hesitate. Just drop a line to support@radbee.com and we can set something up. Also, if you are active on LinkedIn, I invite you to connect directly with me. I'm always happy to be connected with people who are using snapshots. And a reminder, if you enjoy the training and if you enjoy Snapshot, please consider leaving a review on the marketplace. It really is a tremendous help. Anything else people want me to answer before I close this call? Okay, I think, 1 second. There are a bunch of questions that I didn't see, so let me just go through them quickly. Let me go back into Snapshot and I will stay on another few minutes to answer the questions. Someone asked, can we rearrange the look of the current snapshot as epic data at top row followed by its child below table, underlined? Not at the moment. It is actually a very cool thing that you asked about it because we have it on our pipeline and I hope to be able to do that or something similar to that in the next few months. Stay tuned because Snapshots is really under massive development at the moment and we ship a lot of things every week. And I hope that one of those weeks we will ship this as well. And about the session recording, I answered, yes, we will send you, I will send you an email. Give me a couple of days to just organize it and I'll send it out at the beginning of next week. And for empty fields, yes, empty fields, I can actually show how we do placeholders for empty fields. I think a good example would be, I don't see here empty fields, but if we go into the previous page, it did have a lot of empty fields like the category. So let me quickly show you how to set up placeholders. So category, for example, can sometimes be empty and I can set a placeholder. By default, when I set a placeholder, it is empty, but I could decide that I don't want it to be empty, but something else. So I can say no category or not available, like someone asked in the chat. If I do that, then this will show up. Okay, so that is the placeholder that you can set for empty values. Then the question was, can we restructure the current view to display the epic data at the top, followed by child items in the table below? Okay, I answered that already. And another last question, can parent and child hierarchy mapped as dropdown? I'm not sure I understand. Abhinav, if you are still around and you want to write an explanation of what you mean, let me think. Can parent and child hierarchy mapped as dropdown? The parent and child hierarchy is basically the Jira hierarchy. And I don't think that it can, okay, I'm guessing that you are asking if the connection between the level 1 and the level 2 can be mapped as a dropdown. No, it has to be somehow related to how the data is in Jira, and the relationship between the two levels needs to be, we should be able to express it in a way of a JQL. So, and it's an interesting question because I'm not fully understanding what is the feature you see in your mind. So if you have a specific idea about how you would like this to work, please drop an email to our support and describe it. It will allow me to look into it more carefully. And yes, I will just, so this is the support email, right, to support@radbee.com, and we will look at it and try to see if we can make it happen. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for staying around. Thank you for being eager to learn snapshots. I hope this session was useful. And again, if someone feels that I did not answer all questions, drop us a line, and we can also have a one-on-one call to address any other issues that you may have. Okay. I'm going to close this call now, and thank you so much. Cheers, and have a good rest of the day.